clouds, red sky, rain. What would you describe that as?
Purple.
It's definitely.
Did you see me?
I'm sat here waiting.
I was feeling up my own leg there. That was all wrong.
Well, enjoy it.
We have found something that smells like your grandma's underwear drawer. No.
Well, that looks attractive. I wonder if Big Ben will still dong, because I want to knit a Ricky hat with you and wear it on my head. The rain in Spain lies mainly on the plain. So is Bert and Ernie, is he Herbert?
Bert. Hey, Bert.
Herbert and Ernie, it's not quite the same, is it? They're both from the Hunter Twas.
Welcome to episode 90. Have you had a good Christmas? Did you get some nice presents?
Yes.
Did you, Kay?
I did.
What did you get?
I don't know what I got.
You got that love... Oh, no. Folks, we're recording this just slightly before Christmas, so I put Kay on the spot there.
Hence the confusion. I didn't know what he wanted me to say.
Because today, we're at the Harry Potter studios.
We are.
So whilst we're here with you...
We're actually touring round the Harry Potter studios.
Oh my goodness, how exciting. Kay, how exciting are
So
you?
we've done a bit of jiggery-pokery to make it possible...
The magic of television.
For us to be here.
Yes,
whilst
indeed.
We're actually...
At Harry Potter.
Near Watford.
I'm seriously considering coming home with the Elder Wand.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because that would be
He's
cool.
been talking about this for a while.
It'd be so cool. It'd be just so cool. Because what would be so cool is if she doesn't know, she doesn't realise. And then she's like, take that. But maybe Grindelwald's, it's hard to say.
The Elder Wand is a really long one, isn't it? And that's
with lots of knobbles. Oh, if it's really long, I might have to get it.
Well, it is a long one, the Elder Wand, I'm sure. And Bryony's already got 3 wands. But I think she's going to get another one. I can't remember who she said. She's been saving up
big time.
She's been saving up.
She's loaded.
For about, since we booked
years.
her. So 6 months probably. So she's loaded.
I'm actually quite jealous.
She's ready to spend that money.
I'm quite jealous because I think that wands are a brilliant thing to buy. Genuinely, I do. I'm shocked about that, to be honest, because
She loves those.
I would have thought that it would just be a gimmick that you couldn't really do anything with, but it isn't. Because not only are they really pretty things to look at, you can also play with them. You can properly play with them.
Yeah, you do. You have wand battles,
yeah,
don't you?
And it's really fun. So I've been shocked by that, and that's actually made me engage a lot more with the whole Harry Potter thing.
Yeah, and she does get them out, and whenever she's watching a film where there's a wand going on, and she's got, of the 3 that she's got, she always gets it out and pretends to be the character, doesn't she?
Yeah.
Because they all kind of yield their wand in a different way, don't they? And hold it in a different way.
Yes.
And she's very analytical of it and wants to get it exactly right.
For me, the winner of wand skills is Percival Graves currently.
Yeah.
He has the best wand skills. He's in Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them.
That end scene where he's like waving it around.
To be fair, that whole film is brilliant.
Brilliant.
With the wand skills and how they approach casting their spells. I mean, how crazy do we sound? But Percival Graves in particular...
We take it very seriously.
If you watch how he does what he does, it's very believable. I like it. It's good stuff. But did you have a good Christmas? Genuinely, I really hope you did.
Yes, we hope you did.
Oh, Advent calendar, it's completely finished now.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable. What a journey that was. But it was the most fun ever. And the most exciting thing of all is already there's special plans for next year for something very different. We've already spoken about this.
Have we?
Yes.
I don't remember.
I'm going to start calling her Dory. But
He speaks to me about that many things, honestly, and then he just expects me to remember everything. It's just not possible.
it's our last show of 2017.
Wow.
Unbelievable. And how cool that it is the 29th of December and it's just a couple of days before the turning of the clocks and New Year time.
I wonder if Big Ben will still dong because it's been renovated, isn't it?
I would hope so.
I'm sure it will.
Today, very much, is all about Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Because, you know, 2017's been a hard one for us. And we're very excited about 2018 because it's the first time in a long time where we're going into a year with fresh plates.
We've got nothing.
Although our plates have certainly been full over the last few days.
They have.
Given our meat plans, we planned out all our food.
Meal plans, do you mean?
Meat. Purchasing meat for the said meals.
Oh, right.
That has been the crux of our discussions.
Right.
We've been talking about meat stuffings. We've been talking about were we having pork or whatever were we having on the 22nd.
Yeah.
And on the 24th, what we were going to have? We were going to have gammon. And what we're going to have, of course, on the 25th. Yeah. Well, we eventually, after much wailing and gnashing of teeth.
Yeah.
Hopefully we haven't literally had to gnash teeth. Hopefully it was lovely and tender.
Yeah, no, it will have been.
But to be fair, I don't actually mind. I really don't mind it when it goes dry.
Dry turkey. Well, no, not really. It's part of... You know, I think we've all had a dry turkey at some point, haven't we?
I wonder if there's such a thing. Is there such a thing as turkey jerky?
Well, beef jerky is like the dried stuff, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, right. I thought you meant like jerk chicken as in spiced.
No.
Oh, right. Okay.
I'm into jerky. I like beef jerky in particular. With my exercising, it's a really good, easy snack and it settles in your tummy well and running is good around about the time of it.
Poultry would dry in the same way as beef.
I want to dry.
Well, there's a lot of meat talk, isn't it? I'm sorry to all you vegetarians out there. Here's a question: what do everybody who's maybe a vegan? What would you have at Christmas? And I mean, vegetarians. I suppose if you're a pescatarian, then you could have lovely salmon or whatever, couldn't you, or some other nice fish? But how?
I know what they have.
It's kind of a mystery to me.
It isn't, Kate. We've seen Raymond. What does she do? Oh, what does she make that wobbles?
What was it, that substance?
Have you seen that?
She make? Was it?
She puts it in a mould, and because she's healthy eating.
So she's not eating meat, yeah.
I can't remember what it was.
What is it?
It's just the most legendary episode.
Tofu. It was tofu, wasn't it?
Tofu turkey.
Oh, that was so funny. It was wobbling, wasn't it? And they were all like, "Oh, I couldn't eat it." That was really funny.
But what a month it's been, because not only have you released Mr. Fox, but also on Christmas Eve, your All Is Calm socks got released.
Yes.
So if you are a Bakery Bears patron, you will have hopefully seen that post, which came out on the 24th of December. If you didn't, go to our Patreon page, look for that post, and it's there and you can download it. It's our gift to every one of our patrons this year, and it's the launch of a 4-pattern series. The next 3 patterns are available to our gold and platinum patrons. So what a busy month.
Very busy. Yeah,
I know.
I think December's always busy, isn't it? But
it's been
very busy. But it's been particularly busy, yeah.
Getting around and going to all the places that we've been to for the Christmas shopping in our
That's been lovely. It has been lovely.
Looking at the churches and getting inside that church in Northallerton.
That was a highlight, I would say.
Absolutely. A real highlight of Christmas, because you need the perfect church at Christmas, don't you?
It's a beautiful church. It really is.
We've most certainly found our perfect church for Christmas, and that's it. But today, it's back. And I cannot wait for this. It is our seasonal special of Knit or Forfeit. We promised you last year when we did it was Clark versus Ellen last year.
Yeah.
It was the culmination of our Bakery Bears Handmade Christmas.
Right.
This year we have 2 more extra special guests who are going to be playing off against each other. Yes, Christmas is over, so Santa has a bit of time available. And Santa will be dropping by to play Knit or Forfeit against his head elf, who's of course called Jovi. I think it's time that we found out for the last time in 2017. Kay Jones, what's on your needles?
I've just picked up this sock, actually. I haven't knit on a sock in probably over a week. What is that all about? And I'm feeling a bit jittery. It's got to be said. So
she had the sock shakes.
I did. So I wanted to choose, because when we are at Harry Potter now, I wanted to just take one thing with me. It's only an overnight trip, But I still obviously wanted to take some knitting because it's quite a long car journey. But I just wanted to take a sock. So I looked through, I've got 3 socks on the needles at the moment. And I thought the one that made most sense to try and get finished before the end of the year was my Figgy pudding socks. I wanted to just show you this mini and see what you thought about the heel with this mini.
Can I just pick up on what you said there? Because I do think that Kay's made a really interesting point, and I'd be interested if you feel the same. If you have a project like Figgy pudding, which is clearly attached to a season, when it gets to January the 2nd,
I won't want to knit on it.
And are you the same?
Yeah.
Because I would also be the same. And that's the reason why I never attach seasons or events to my projects.
And I do, and that's exactly why I've picked this one up, because I think if I don't finish it before the end of the year, it'll just languish until next October probably. And the other 2 pairs of socks I've got on the go are the 2 that I showed on the last episode, and they are also Christmas themed. They don't have that particularly festive look, I don't think.
They don't. I was thinking that, I mean,
I don't think I'll have a problem knitting on those when it's not Christmas. Whereas this, because I dyed it and I know what it's called and I know the frame of mind I was in when I dyed it, it feels very festive.
It also looks like what it's supposed to look like, which, you know, no matter how hard you try to persuade yourself that wasn't what it is, it would always be what it is, and that is Figgy pudding.
Yeah, and I do want to finish them. So I'm only on sock 1. I can actually knit a pair of socks fairly quickly if I'm monogamous. I can get through a sock in about 2-3 days. So I'm thinking that I might be able to just do this, but we'll see how I get on. So this is my Figgy pudding colourway, and I still absolutely love it. I dyed up loads of this. I really did dye as much as I possibly could in the time frame I had, and I will be dyeing it up next year as well, definitely. I think I will certainly bring it back, so maybe sort of early November probably I will start dyeing this up. So it's just this lovely kind of like a soft aubergine sort of colour, and then it's got specks of like plum and bright pink and gold and like a gunmetal sort of colour, and where they meet, you know, sometimes you'll get a little spot of burgundy, and it's just really, really pretty. And when I dyed this up, I did dye up a mini at the same time, and I did write down, I think, what I did for this, but I used some of the same colours to dye the mini as were in here. And I just wonder, I think it will probably go.
Yeah.
Do you think?
Yeah.
It picks up the kind of brighter purpley tones. I don't know what colour I'd describe that as, actually. What colour would you describe that as?
Purple.
It's definitely purple, but it's not just one colour. I mixed this with 2 or 3 colours, I think. And there are some speckles in there as well. So
Can I just ask, are colours a girl thing? I think they must be a girl thing, because that's purple. It's a very pretty purple.
Well,
but you know, I get what
it is purple, but then that's also purple there, and that looks different. It's very subjective, isn't it? Gosh, I was watching a programme this morning with Bryony on CBeebies called Hey Dougie. It is the best children's TV show in the world.
It's very good. And
it's an animated little programme. But the colours that they use on it are absolutely the most beautiful colours I've ever seen.
Hey Dougie as well is well positioned in the schedule, because I think it is a morning programme.
Yeah, it's definitely...
Because it sets you up.
It does. It's just...
short and funny.
It's funny, and, you know, they did a little song on it the other day, and it was the funniest thing I think I've seen in a long time. But the colours are just fabulous, and I'm always talking to Bryony about the colours. I'm like, look at that shade of pink, look at that shade of blue, and I don't know how... I mean, it's all computer generated, obviously, so that's different, isn't it, than mixing a colour in real life. I am always fascinated when I see colours now to think, oh, how is that mixed? You know, what colours are put together to make that shade? It's a very complex and fascinating subject, I think. But I think I will put that in for the heel. I think that might be fun. So I want to get this, I'm at the heel now, I want to get the through the heel turn, and maybe just pick up the gusset stitches before we go on our trip, which won't be a problem at all. That's a few days away from where we are now. So it might be that I can actually get the first sock finished before we go away. That would be even better. and then I'll have the second sock to work on.
Yeah.
That would be even better. So I'm going to try and do that, I think.
So I'm really interested to know if you are the same with that whole seasonal thing.
Yeah.
But of course, we're starting on the 1st of January. They're never going to knit you up, Cal.
Yes.
And thank you all so
just
much.
A couple of days away now.
It is. So if you do have any of those seasonal projects which have passed their season, maybe it's a Christmas project that you're going to feel very not interested in getting it knit up.
Not interested.
Well, it's the perfect opportunity to finish those Christmas projects off. So maybe if you don't get that finished, Never Gonna Knit You Up will help you get it finished.
Yeah, maybe so. But I do really want to get these finished because I think they'll be a lovely pair of socks. And it might be that I actually don't wear them till next Christmas. I might just save them. Dan Jones.
Hello.
What are you doing?
I thought you were going to forget. Oh. Go on in. Oh, no. Go on
What's on your needles?
Well, if you recall, a couple of episodes ago, you saw a rather embarrassing ball of caked up.
Did you?
That's all wrong.
Could you believe that?
Well, look what happened.
Well, I had to sort it, didn't I? It was an absolute disgrace.
She sorted it out for me. Look, it's all lovely now. Oh, this is, of course, it's the dark side and the light.
The dark side and the light.
Yes.
Oh,
there it is.
We've seen it now.
Yeah, we have seen it now. No spoilers for
We've
us.
seen it twice. Bryony declared it to be the best film she has ever seen in her entire life.
Which is quite a statement when you
consider...
It is
quite a statement considering her love of Harry Potter.
But I think that when she sees Fantastic Beasts 2, she will declare
that's November, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, can't wait. So you will recall an embarrassing... Well, it's fixed. Kay fixed it for me. Thank you very much. Because I would not have had a clue. I just don't know what happened. Because I've done this lots now. You know, you always say, oh, when did that happen?
I don't know what happened.
Well, I can do this. But something went drastically wrong. I wonder if it's because things have changed around in the setup and I maybe just need to concentrate a bit more the next time I do it. But here is the sock, and it does look lovely.
It does look lovely.
It's a beautiful yarn. And for someone who doesn't like vanilla socks, I'm engaged with this because it looks so lovely. So
it is lovely. And I've nearly finished. I've got a pair of these socks on the go as well, fingering weight, and I've almost finished sock one. And it's ridiculous. I'm right at the toe and I just haven't finished it. But this base, it's the sport weight base that I dye for Dan. It's 100% BFL sport. And I think I'm going to start dyeing on this next year because it's fabulous. I've knit I've knit 2 pairs of socks in it, and you've knit several pairs of socks in it. And I've worn socks that Dan's made and that I've made in this, and they wear really well, and it's super comfortable and soft. And it's I think it's a nice plump sport weight. It's just lovely. So I think I am going to start dyeing on that a bit more next year.
Progress on this sock has stalled, and it's stalled because mentally I made the decision. I mean, it's progressed a lot since you saw it last, because when you saw it last it was like that, but I've paused current progress on said sock because I'm very focused on my contrast heel sock, and also, as you can see over there, I'm also very focused on getting the Uncommon Dragon done. And the reason why I've had to pause though is because I've hit a sort of roadblock which is going to take time and mental power to get over. And I'm telling you because maybe someone out there can point me in the right direction. Because what you have to do the heel flap is you have to do a provisional cast on. And you do a provisional cast on, so you do a provisional cast on here on this side, and then you knit across and you do a provisional cast on here on this side. But what I can't work out is how you do that provisional cast on without cutting the yarn and starting again and then knitting across.
I can't get my head around it. I've really tried.
And the pattern doesn't say to cut the yarn, so I can't believe it. So I think there must be a way of doing a provisional cast on with this yarn and obviously some waste
yarn.
yarn.
I'm sure there must be. I'm not vastly experienced with provisional cast-ons, and she tells you to do it in a way that I've not done it. I usually do a crocheted provisional cast-on. But I just said to Dan, I wonder if you could just... Because I'm presuming the reason she wants you to do a provisional one is so that you can then go back and just slide those stitches back on the needle. Well, you could just pick up, couldn't you? If you just actually cast on stitches, which would be a lot easier, just cast on some stitches, worked your way across, and then cast on some more stitches.
Knitted on a backwards
simple. Loop. Yeah, I mean, it's easy to do that. And then just picked up from those cast on stitches rather than, obviously you're going to have a little ridge, aren't you, rather than there not being a ridge. But it just seems incredibly complicated to me, and I don't know where it's going at the moment.
It's interesting this, because it's the first time I've ever looked at a pattern and been like, I've really got no idea what you're on about here. So it's interesting. I want to get a solution, and I will get a solution, and that solution may be knitted on.
I wonder if there's any projects on Ravelry for that particular pattern. You should look at that, because people might have put notes in there on their project page. That's worth doing, actually.
Absolutely. So you haven't seen this for a little while. Made a nice little bit of progress.
I haven't it?
Loving the yarn.
It's lovely.
But need a solution for, do you know how to do a provisional cast on DPNs when you've got active yarn there without cutting it?
Can't work it out.
If you do, could you point me in the right direction? Otherwise, we will find a way through, and that way through might be knitted on cast on and backwards loop cast on. Yippee! And I don't think I've ever done a backwards loop cast on, have I? When would
I've shown you before.
Have you? So I must have needed it for something.
The bear jumper.
Was that backwards loop cast on? I thought that was just knitted on.
Was it knitted on or backwards loop? I can't remember.
It's just knitted on.
Oh, right, okay.
Definitely. And I really like that cast on, actually. Because it's sort of fun. It's sort of fun. I mean, people who are good at it, I find it slightly mesmerising. It's like Jedi skills, because like you're like, the needle never comes out of the yarn.
No.
Well, sorry. I'm not quite there yet.
It's really the first cast on my mum ever showed me, and it's the only cast on she would ever use.
It's such a good one, actually. I mean, it's a really good one. What else? Oh, that's nice yarn.
It is, but do you know what?
It's thin yarn.
It's very thin yarn, which is why I was using it for this.
Right.
I don't think I'm going to carry on with this, and I thought I'll show it you and I'll talk about it, and I think that'll help me make a decision as to whether I'm going to carry on with it.
Is this the cushion?
Yeah.
It's very grungy, isn't it?
Yes, thank you. I think I've decided, obviously, in my own brain that I'm not going to carry on with this. But this is the first, actually, cushion cover that I started with my Bits and Bobs pattern. And then I cast on the fluffy one, and that's all I wanted to knit on. And this one just got left in the bag. And I thought, I'll come back to that when I finish the fluffy one, which I have done now, obviously. But when I've come back to this, it's just not very pretty. It does look, just like Dan said, it looks to me a bit grungy. And I'm sure people will say, oh no.
Well, it will appeal to some people. Some people will love that.
Absolutely, yeah. But I just don't think it's very me. And I think the issue, I've done lots and lots of swatches for the Bits and Bobs, obviously, when I was writing the pattern and creating the pattern. And I found that the colours for the background that work the best are very light colours or very dark colours. I did one, actually, a swatch that was with a dark brown. It was Log Cabin Brown from Madeline Tosh. I love that brown. Very warm, rich brown. And that looked fantastic in the swatch because it was so dark that all the other colours just popped off it. But this is a mid-tone colour, and I think that's the problem. Because it's a mid-tone, you're not getting that contrast.
No.
And I think it just all looks a bit samey, even though there's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 different colours of sort of minis in there, and you just don't see it. So I think I'm going to rip this out. And the background yarn I was using is lovely, and it was the Juno Fibre Arts Buffy Tuffy, and the colourway is Flotsam. It's a 75-25 superwash BFL nylon, and it's quite a thin yarn, and this is why I was using it, because I thought it would be a good use for it, because I think it's too thin for socks. I feel like I'd have to use like a 2mm needle. It's so fine, because you get 464 yards.
I can't see that working in anything other than that on its own.
Yeah.
I think it's too muddy.
This was the yarn.
That yarn, I mean, it's pretty, but it's muddy. Do you know what I'm saying?
I probably, in all honesty, I probably wouldn't have bought... The only reason I bought it is because it was her last sale before she stopped dyeing, and I just wanted to grab a couple of skeins, so it probably wouldn't have been my first choice. But it's a very pretty colour, but I've just never been able to find anything that I want to knit with it, and I think it is mainly because it's so fine, and I can get this base to dye on. But I wouldn't dye on it because I don't like the fact that it's a finer yarn, and I always like to make the yarn bases that I dye on as versatile as possible. So you could knit socks if you wanted to, or you could knit a shawl, or you could knit a garment. And when it's as fine as this, knitting socks with it, for me personally, like I say, I'd have to go down to a 2mm and increase my stitch count, and I just don't want to do that. I wouldn't find that enjoyable. So
that's a boy's colour.
It's definitely a boy's colour, and I like girly, pretty colours. So I think if I paired it with something that was maybe, like a pink or something that
to do what?
I don't know. This is the problem. It's with a pink there. Oh, what happened?
A ball just fell. If you made socks with that and put contrast heels and toes in it, yes.
Yeah,
but you just said you'd never do that, and I don't blame you.
I'd have to. For me, I'd have to cast on I'd probably cast on 68 on a 2mm, and for Dan, I'd have to do 76 probably on a 2mm.
How robust would that base be?
Well, it's BFL, so it would be quite robust.
Right.
It's better than merino in that respect. It's just too thin. I've really found out about myself that I just don't like really skinny yarns. I like them to have a bit of body.
So actually knitting those socks would not be a pleasurable experience.
I don't necessarily think it will, because there's not a lot of bounce in this. It doesn't feel very cushy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't think you have a lot of use for that yarn, Kate.
I know, and I just don't know what to do, because...
Credit to you for trying to find
and I haven't...
something.
I know, and I've had it for ages, and I just can't... But I think we've probably all got those skeins, haven't we, that... We've bought on impulse maybe, and then thought afterwards, actually, what am I going to do with that?
No. You thought afterwards, I'm never going to knit you up.
No. Well, I know. I can't think at the minute what to do.
I think that you need to think about that yarn and consider if that should be your cast on for the Never Gonna Knit You Up, Cal.
Yeah, but what would I make?
Well, that's your challenge. Is there a way?
I just don't know.
I mean, could you combine it with like a really pink yarn, knit it double and make a hat?
Oh, I could knit it. Oh, I could just double it itself. But I could double it with Kid Silk Haze. That might work.
What if you knit the brim in like a pink, then knit the body?
Well, I could do
that double.
I could do that, and it'd be a sockhead hat. I mean, I'd probably make a. What I would do, I think, if it was a sockhead hat, I'd probably use 2.75 instead of 3mm.
Yeah.
And I'd use the same stitch count, because the sockhead hat is very generous, isn't it? So that might be a solution.
Then at
least I will have used it. And actually, I think the colour would be nice on me, because it kind of is the same as my eyes.
Combined with something really pretty.
Yeah.
But it's going to need to be bright. Like a lovely, strong pink.
Maybe that's what I'll do.
I was just feeling an intense swelling of pride because I'd actually added something of value to a conversation.
Well, no, you definitely did add value. It saddens me when something's just not working and I'm just not happy with it. But it just doesn't look very nice to me.
Take it out.
So I'm going to, in fact, let's do it now.
Shall I get on and show my next thing?
Yeah, carry on, and I'm just going to start pulling this.
Now, I have realised something about...
Oh, that feels good.
This project, and that is...
Yeah.
I've knit on this loads since I last showed it to you. I've knit on this so much, it's now impossible to show it in one picture without laying it out on the floor.
Brilliant.
And taking the picture from the bottom up. My Queen Mary scarf, and of course the lovely yarn, and I know you've all seen it, but it's absolutely beautiful yarn to knit with. It really is beautiful yarn to knit with. But the problem is with these types of projects, because it's a repetitive pattern, no matter how much you knit on it, there's never anything more to show. Because you've seen it all. No,
I know.
You've seen it all before.
This is why you've not shown it a whole lot,
and
isn't
it makes it a very difficult. It makes it a difficult project because just when you do what we do, I have lots of projects on the go to keep things exciting and varied, and always lots, to show you guys. But that then means that a project like this takes such a long time anyway to do a row, although, I am a load quicker than I was. I'm starting to think of ways of how I can schedule it in so I can make quicker progress.
Oh, well, it's funny because I was thinking of that on another one of my projects, that the only way I'm going to get through it
is by thinking of ways of scheduling it in. Can I find a half hour here or there?
That's what I'm going to do with something I'll talk about next.
Yeah, it's like a knitting boot camp.
I that's the way I have to get through some things, because I think we're all different in what we like and what we don't like to knit, and sometimes you want the finished thing, but you don't necessarily want to knit it.
Well, the difficulty is with this is I love every stitch of this. I mean, I genuinely love every stitch of it. So it's not that I want to get through it.
No.
There is then another element of me which wants to cast on something else double knitting.
I'm going to do that later because I need some scissors.
You're excited about what's coming next whilst enjoying what you're currently doing. And I think that then, that harks back to when I thought about casting on another vanishing point with the twin colour invisible cast on, which is the most mind-blowing thing in the history of the world. I did manage to do it. I mean, do you remember? I sat there and it took me ages. I was fully engaged in the process, loved every moment of it. But the challenge is, because it was on Magic Loop, stopping it from twisting.
Yeah.
Because there's no robustness.
You did do it and you had started knitting it, but you twisted it, it had biased, hadn't it?
It is a challenging skill. It's one that I will absolutely master. I need to get through this before I can master that. Because otherwise, doing that would take up so much time that I would never get finished on this. Isn't it challenging, this old knitting lark?
It certainly is.
But what we're talking about, it's not just knitting, it's life.
I was listening to somebody recently, I can't remember who it was, and they referenced something like this, that to them knitting wasn't a hobby, it was their way of life.
It's our way of life.
Well, it's certainly our way of life, but I think that's the case for a lot of people, isn't it?
Yes.
And, if somebody refers to it as your hobby, it doesn't feel right to me, that, as a hobby.
No, that's slightly insulting to me.
I feel like it's a little bit insulting, because I think,
Lego is my hobby.
Yeah, I think hobbies are something that...
Running is...
I don't know.
No. You see, this is tricky because I think running is a way of life for me.
Yeah, running's not a hobby.
No.
It's a similar sort of thing. It's like if you didn't do it every day, you would really feel that.
You'd have a problem.
You'd have a problem, and I can't remember the last day that I didn't knit.
Perhaps the difference between...
I'd have to be really, really ill.
Perhaps the difference between a hobby and something that is part of your life is your hobby. You could go a month, 2 months. Yeah. You'd miss not doing it, but you wouldn't be less of yourself for not doing it.
Yeah.
When it's part of your life, you have to do it.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, mentally
it affects you mentally.
Yes.
And I know that a lot of you out there will feel that as well. I certainly feel that it's just, even if it's only a few rows, even if your day's been such that you've not been able to get any in first thing. I always knit very first thing in the morning, early, and then usually at night. But
it's a very interesting conversation, this, because anything could become part of your life, but it seems that there are certain things which will always become.
Yeah.
And I bet you that the majority of knitters would say that knitting is part of their life.
Yeah, I think so too.
And is not a hobby. Isn't that interesting about knitting as a craft?
I don't think of it as a hobby at all.
It's
not
the same with... I'm a drummer and a percussionist, but there's a type of drumming called taiko drumming, and that is something that becomes part of you.
It's amazing, taiko drumming.
It is amazing. And, I would liken it, in that sense, I'd liken it to knitting. And there'll be lots of other things out there that are like that, which hook in whoever starts to do it. And I wonder if any of you could tell us some other things that maybe we don't know about. Other things which you found in your experience that when most people do them, it becomes all encompassing. Interesting.
And it's funny that, you know, it never wanes as well. You know,
because it's so varied.
You'd think that, you know, I've probably knit every day for the past, I don't know how many years. I can't think there's a day that I wouldn't have. And I don't ever get bored.
No.
And it's strange, isn't it? You would think that doing something every day like that, at some point you would go, oh, I need a break, or, you know. But I've never felt like that.
No.
And so if you do, I suppose the good thing is if you ever did feel like that, you just knit on something else. That's the benefit, isn't it, of having a few things on the go.
The interesting thing about knitting, though, I think is, and it'll be the same about an awful lot of other things as well, is you need to get to that point. I wonder if the analogy to easily pull up for me would be the running thing. With the running thing, the moment you get that runner's high, the moment you get to the right mileage, which gives you that kick of the endorphins, that's what it is, isn't it? It's endorphins that the body kicks out. It's the same with knitting, because I didn't get it for probably the first 4 weeks of doing it. And I wish I knew. I know what it was. It was the first bankhead.
Yeah.
You have to persevere, don't you? You have to get to that point where perhaps it is the first time you cast off a project which you have done yourself. You know, who knows what that moment is for you with knitting, but, you know, for beginner knitters, and I know how wonderful it is, there's so many beginner knitters that we seem to inspire, push through, get to that sort of high point. Normally it is, as I say, casting off your first project, and then you're away. And I can think of someone, actually, I think it's Mark, who has recently finished his first bankhead. And he was inspired by his wife and inspired by us. And yeah, and it looked great.
And it might be that, you know, it might be that you're just a particular type of knitter. It might be that you just love knitting socks, or you just love knitting garments. But, you know, just try lots and lots of different things, and you will find that thing that is your thing.
For beginners, I think a hat is a great place to start.
Well, it is, yeah. It is, definitely.
It really, because it's short enough to give you that gratification of getting finished, but also...
You'd learn a fair amount as well.
Yeah, challenging enough for the decreases. What else is on your needles?
Well, I appear to be knitting a garment.
My goodness.
You've all just fallen off your chairs, haven't you? I know you have.
Yes.
So did I. I've cast on, yes I have, I've cast on the tank top, and everybody has different terms for it, don't they? But it's always been a tank top to me. The pattern refers to it as a slipover, or pullover, I think it might be called. But it's this one, if you remember. It's the vintage pattern that I got from my mum. And she's knit this for my dad years and years and years ago. So it's this one here that I'm knitting for Dan. And I cast it on probably about 3 days ago, maybe.
I think most people in this country would call that a tank top.
I see it as a tank top, yeah.
I said to Kay, actually, and it's a very interesting point, this. We assume that because, you know, there might be another country that shares our language.
Yeah.
That we use the same words.
Yeah.
Well, we don't. We need to remember.
It's true.
If you are in a different country, but you have the same language as another country, don't assume that
everybody calls things the same thing.
Yeah.
Because we find huge differences, you know, with us and like the US or Canada or whatever, and it's...
Or the many other countries.
Or the many other countries that are English speaking, yeah. So yeah, I cast this on a few days ago, and I mean, I'm really enjoying it. One thing I had to do, and it took me about 2 hours to do it yesterday, I started knitting it just from the pattern, and this is what an old-fashioned pattern looks like. You don't know if you've ever knit from these. So what you have is, it starts down here with the cast on and the ribbing, fine. But then when you start working the pattern, what you've got is, it's a 4-row repeat, but for the outer sides, but then the centre panel is 24 rows. So those 4 rows up the sides just repeat whilst you're working the 24 rows up the middle, which in itself is absolutely fine. But the 4 rows are written here in one big lump. The 24 rows are written here in one big lump. And I was using a clicker up to 24 because I thought, well, I'm going to have to do that because these are the rows that are different on each row. So I need to be keeping track of this. And I suppose this is where a circa counter would be really good, but I haven't got one. But then, for example, when you're on row 9 here, I kept having to think, right, which of the 4 rows am I on? There was a lot of mental, challenges going on. And plus the writing is tiny. It's all lumped together. And it was taking me a long time to do a row, and it was literally giving me a headache. It's not difficult, but it was giving me a headache the way it was written. So I spent a couple of hours yesterday and I've rewritten it out. Can you see? It's all handwritten, and I know I could have typed all this, but to be honest, I read...
You're not a typey girl.
No, and I love typing, actually. I've got qualifications in typing. I love it, but... I like to read from a handwritten thing, and because I've written it, I can read it very, very easily. And I've done this before for patterns where I found it confusing to read from the actual pattern, and I've rewritten it out. So it's the 24 rows, and what I did was I inserted whichever row 1 to 4 it was relevant for that row. So it's like the entire row is written out like this. And now it's just absolutely plain sailing. It's so much easier.
It's really interesting what you've just said about that, because one of the things which, when I used to do an awful lot of drumming, I always used to write out the drum parts by hand.
Yeah.
And the reason why I did that was, not only could I do all the things that you've just said, and I think that this is going to be the same for you with knitting as well, because you physically write it out by hand.
It goes into your brain.
Yeah. So that's the other reason why I bet you that works. It might be something worth trying for you as well.
So, because I've worked through the entire 24 rows now. I've done a full repeat, and I only need to glance at the pattern for the side bits now, and I just look at it when I get to the centre panel. The pattern doesn't tell you to put in any stitch markers at all. I found that just no. It doesn't even reference.
What I mean is, it expects you to just know where the changing points are.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. So in the old days, is that what knitters would have done? Would they have just known?
My mum never used stitch markers. So...
She just knew when she got to the point when...
Well, it just takes a lot more thinking, I think, because I'll show you where I'm up to and then I can explain rather than me just going on about it.
That's cool, isn't it?
Yeah, so here it is. This is the back or the front panel. They're both the same up until the arm separation. I'm going to try and hold it in such a way. There we go. Oh, look!
It's great. It's great.
It's lovely, isn't it?
Yes.
And I think doing it in this green makes it look a bit more modern, obviously, than the cream is quite, let's say, vintage rather than old-fashioned.
Yeah.
But I think doing it in this green, and it pops out really nicely, I think. So you have this double moss stitch here.
It's nice, that.
It's lovely. I love double moss stitch. It's so pretty. And then I'll show you, like, on the side panels. Can you see? So I have put stitch markers in. At first, I just put stitch markers for the centre 28 stitches is here. But the last few rows, I've also put them in here because I was finding that I was moss stitching and I was kind of zipping past the point where I had to do these twisted stitches. So I thought, right, I'm going to stick in some stitch markers either side of these 4 twisted stitches here. So I know, because I know that either side of the stitch markers is always a purl on the front and a knit on the back. And then it's just double moss stitch. So that has really helped me putting in those extra stitch markers here and here. And, you know, now, and I even timed myself. Does anybody else do this? I was curious as to how long it took me to do a row, so I got Bryony to time me last night while I was supervising homework. I said, oh, just set your phone going. And it took me about, yeah, I know. She was intrigued. She's like, a minute, Mum. 2 minutes, Mum. I'm like, stop it, you're stressing me. I'm not supposed to knit faster when you're timing me. It's just meant to be however long it is. It took me about 7.5 minutes to do the most complicated row where you've got the cables and things. I don't think that's too bad.
That's so slow.
He's so funny, isn't he? The sort of reverse side rows, it's just basically knitting and purling. So that didn't quite take quite as long. But I think this 24 rows that you can see there takes me about 3 hours. And I'd just like to know really how long things are going to take, especially a big project like this. For me, this is a big project. You know I don't really knit garments. But I'm really motivated to knit this. And I think for Dan's, I've sort of done some measurements. I think I'll have to do 4 about 4 repeats to get to the armholes. And the other thing I'm going to do, the front and the back are the same up until that point. So I'm putting this down now and I'm casting on the front. And
Are you?
Yeah,
Oh.
I'm going to knit them concurrently. And then that way, what I'll do is I'll get them both up until the armhole here. I'll get them both to that point and then I can finish the front. And then when I go to the back, I'll only have to do that top bit. And it won't... I've just got a fear that I'll do the whole of the back panel and then I'll think, oh my word, I've got to cast on and do the whole of the front. Whereas if I'm doing them together, then I think I'll sort of cope with that a lot better. But it's not difficult. It really is not difficult. But it was just how it was written was ridiculous. It really was. And I feel I'm going to talk to my mum about this when I see her next week. I'm going to say, Mum, how did you knit from these patterns? But I suppose they were just used to it.
But people did. And do you know what?
I could do it. It just takes me so much longer because you're kind of looking at this, then you're looking at that, then you're looking back at that, then you're looking back at that. Do you know what I mean?
There's too much information in too small a space.
Yes, it's all crammed in.
There's a lot to be said for mind mapping.
Yeah.
And, I think that's the difference. When that pattern was written and, where we are now in the world, people do think an awful lot more about how is it going to go in better to someone's head.
Yeah. And I think it presumes a lot as well.
Yeah.
I think people who used to knit in my mum's day probably were more garment knitters, and you basically knit because it was a cheap way of producing garments. So you were very experienced.
You knit because you had to.
Knit because you had to, rather than now it's more of a pleasure activity, isn't it? I think people just had a greater experience. Things like when I'd finished the ribbing, it just tells you to start row 1 and it doesn't tell you it tells you how many stitches you've got in the centre panel, but then it doesn't tell you how many stitches are either side. Things like that where I like to know, right, I've got the right number of stitches either side, and that's cool. And just things that make it simpler, I think, to understand. There it is. It's lovely, isn't it? So we've got that central diamond cable, which is just 1x1 cable crosses. Very easy. I am using a cable needle. Slip that one on, hold at the front, purl that one, knit that one. Easy. Yeah, you've got the cable diamond here, and then you've got these twisted stitches here and here, and then double moss stitch. So simple but really nice. And the yarn is the Drops Alaska that I showed you last time, because you were knitting with it, aren't you? Drops Alaska. And this colourway I think is light olive. It's 45. It's colour number 45. And I'm on the second 50-gram ball. And I'm just split splicing. Brilliant. Because it's non-superwash, 100% wool. And it split splices brilliantly well. No ends. So that's all fantastic. And it's a really nice fabric, actually. It's still not the right gauge. I don't know what it is about probably the type of yarn that was used for the pattern, a vintage yarn or whatever. I just cannot get gauge. You're meant to get 18 stitches to 4 inches. And no matter what yarn I tried previously, I got between 19 and 20. When I'm actually knitting this now, I've got 19. So I'm thinking once it's blocked, I should be pretty much there. And I've checked it against the size of you and it seems okay. I'm doing the 42 inch. Dan's chest is 43, but we don't want it big. And I think with a bit of blocking, that it looks about right to me. So it's lovely yarn. Cheap as chips. Do you know what? It's lovely. I'm not having a problem at all knitting with it. I'd happily knit with it again. So brilliant.
That's Kay's first garment for me. And I'm just on with her second garment for her. What?
First garment for me?
That's the first garment that you've knit me.
I suppose it is.
There's no suppose. It is the first garment that you've knit me.
Okay. You're very big.
And this is Kay's second garment. So this is the second thing. The second full, clothes.
It's like that, is it?
Item. And I'm also on my second ball.
Yeah. And you're also knitting with Drops Alaska.
I'm also knitting with Drops Alaska.
But you get to knit this beautiful colour.
And I think that's a beautiful colour.
It is lovely.
But yes, it is. It's a really beautiful colour. It's very appropriate. Okay, I got very excited yesterday because I thought I was nearly at the start of the pattern, but I have to do another, just a couple of rows, I think.
Right.
And then I'll be ready to get cracking on the pattern. And the pattern looks really good. I've had a closer look at everything on the chart, and I can understand it.
And it's charted. This is the difference as well. They were never charted on on vintage patterns, and that's fine by me.
And I can understand it.
That's brilliant. You can understand it.
There it is. I can understand it because of doing the Irish coffee.
Ah, brilliant.
So I'm seeing similar. I mean, everything that's there is similar.
Yeah.
So that's great. Historically, when I've looked at charts, some people seem to introduce their own types of symbols.
It's not a universal symbol.
Well, this seems to be universal.
Right.
Between the Irish coffee and the Samantha.
Or is it I don't know that it is universal.
Well, I think that there will be probably 3 or 4 agreed ways of doing it, and different people approach it in different ways. When it's when it is similar like that, it's so much easier for you to sit down and get on with it. And that is just great. That's what you want, isn't it? You need a language which you understand. And what I'm hoping is, after going through this year, what's exciting is that I kicked off last year with the Irish coffee and got it finished before the end of it. It was great. And that with all, the challenges of having nearly 8 weeks off knitting with my operation and, all the other things that have been going on. So this year, started it earlier than I started last year. My knowledge is so much higher. So I'm really, really hopeful that I'll be able to push on with it and get it finished quicker. We shall wait and see. This is all fitting in now very much with our next podcast episode, which is it's our famous or infamous Knitting Horizons episode. First episode of the year. We kicked this off 2017.
Right.
And we'll be continuing it in 2018.
I need to think about that then.
We will be reviewing last year's Knitting Horizons, and we will be most importantly, we will be setting new Knitting Horizons for this year. And I've been a good boy because I've ticked a lot of the boxes on my Knitting Horizons for this year, which is great. Yes.
I don't think I did. I think I was a bit of a failure, wasn't I?
We reviewed it on a Patreon-only podcast in the middle of the year, and you were an abject, utter failure. So we'll see. But you...
He speaks to me like this. It's not very nice, is it?
But you are actually fixing some of the things with what has happened after we had that review, which was in July. So you will not end the year where you were halfway through the year. Right. Halfway through the year, you'd not really done anything towards the Knitting Horizons you set out, but now you have. It's
making me feel terribly bad.
No. You should feel good because you felt bad on that pop where we reviewed the Knitting Horizons.
Yeah.
And without.
I just don't think colourwork is for me. I think
that's fine. That's fine. We can rule that out, which is funny.
I don't mind doing the odd bit of it, but
it's funny, Kay, because I think colourwork is going to form part, without giving away too many spoilers.
I think you will really enjoy colourwork, yeah.
Well, tune in
to
episode 91 and the Knitting Horizons special.
I just enjoy knitting fairly simple things, fairly, nice, quick sort of projects, pretty yarns, pretty patterns, and I'm happy, really.
Are you done?
No, I've got one more thing.
Excellent. Kay Jones, what else is on your needles?
I've almost finished another block on my blanket, so I thought I'd just show you before I really crack on with the borders. I've done all the squares and I'm on the border. So this is my Death on the Nile block. And I think I'd only done one square, hadn't I, the last time I showed you. So I've finished all the squares and I'm on the border. So here it is. It's a nice one, I think. So we've got... This is like the pyramids and Egypt down here. This is Colonel Race. This one is Jackie. If you've seen the film, that's how they always say, or that's how Simon always seems to say her name, isn't it? And then this one is the boat, because the boat is primarily sort of painted white with blue edges and then brown for the deck. This one is Poirot in the middle. I love this one, how this came out. Look how pretty that centre one is, because he wore sort of the cream suits and like taupey sort of colours. This one is Mrs. Otterbourne. It's played by Angela Lansbury, and she always wore these flamboyantly bright, bizarre costumes. So that's her. And then we've got the Nile, which is all these lovely blues and sort of a greeny blue. And then this one is my favourite outfit that Lynette wears one evening for dinner. She wears this kind of like creamy sort of dress with this little black sparkly cardigan. It was black with little sequins on top, sort of like silver sequins. So that one is Lynette. And then this is the blood. Bryony wanted a square that was the blood because there's 5 deaths. There's a lot of blood going on on this boat. So they're all done, and I've just started, as you can see, the pink border. So I always put a little clippy where I've got to do 10 garter ridges. So on this block, it's an edge block, and then the rest are internal. So I've just got 10 ridges on this side, and then 5, 5, and 5. And actually the borders don't take me very long at all. I can sit down and knit all the borders in, kind of one session. And then this one will be done. And I think the reason I like this project is when I was knitting the Mitered Squares blanket, which is, if you recall, I actually turned into a gigantic cushion, which worked brilliantly well. I just got bored of knitting squares. But with this, I don't get bored because whenever you feel like knitting some squares, you can knit 9 little squares, border your block, and then put it away until you want to knit some more. And I never feel like I've got a project half finished because I've finished a block and I've put it away, and I just pull it out whenever I feel like knitting some more. And this for me really works with the Mitered Squares. And this is how I will always knit Mitered Square blankets, I'm absolutely certain. Because it's so versatile as well. You don't have to change coloured yarns, obviously. The first one I did, the Stitching Time, it was just, 1 block for 1 yarn. But I just really love it because I get that initial, it's lovely to knit and lovely colours and what I was just saying about the yarns and everything. And then I get to put some lovely pink borders on it. It's the perfect blanket project for me in terms of Mitered Squares.
Folks, you may well have just heard that sound. And what that sound means is...
What's that sound mean?
What that sound means is our guests are nearly here.
Oh.
So, enough talk. It's back for one night only. Let's get on with...
One night only.
I thought you were going to sing some more.
No.
I set the standard last episode and you were picking up the mantle and running with it.
No.
For one night only, yes, it's back. It's Knit or Forfeit. Stop that. Okay? Right. You see it? There you go. Right. Christmas is over. And I have time to stop by Bakery Bear's cottage with my little elf, Jovi. What?
I'm slightly terrified right now.
Why? What you didn't realise was how does Santa get around the world and deliver all his presents? It's because he's actually a Jedi Master.
You do look like a Santa Jedi.
It's Jedi Master Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Who uses the power of the Force to travel across the world, delivering presents to the good.
I kind of want that dressing gown.
You can have it. You can have it. Do you like my... Look.
Look,
see?
he's even...
See? Oh.
Green giant.
Yes. So, Knit or Forfeit is back with Santa Claus versus Jovi. Now,
this questions... hat's ridiculous. It's too small.
The questions today are all about Christmas. So it's Christmas in general. It's not last year we did Christmas movies. This year it's just Christmas as a whole subject. So we have 5 questions each. We have 2 lifelines because we only have 5 questions. We've got 2 lifelines.
About lifelines.
So we've got 50-50. So 2 wrong answers go away and you're left with 2 answers that could be the answer. And you also have Ask the Audience. Right. In this case, we do Ask Instagram.
Okay.
Prizes. Previously, when we've done Knit or Forfeit, yes, we've had forfeits. and yes, we've had prizes, but none of it's been particularly tangible. It's not things that you could actually experience and fully engage with. So we thought this time we were going to change that. So we have a rather amazing prize.
Which
we both really want.
Let me show it.
It's genuinely a skein of yarn that we both really want. Show it.
Well, he said, just find a skein of yarn that we will both want to knit with. So I have, and it's this. It's by, do you say Ching Fibres? Qing Fibres. Ching, possibly. It's a DK weight, super soft, 80-10-10 merino cashmere nylon, 212 metres in the penguin colourway. Nice. Look at this. Let's just have a second at the glory of this. It's a treat, isn't it? It's a treat. And look at it. Oh, it's fabulous. I've never seen a penguin that looks like this, but I'd love to. Beautiful. Oh.
We have our skein of yarn, and I think this is a bit of a cheat because there's no way that I could knit myself something with this yarn. But to be fair, I never knit myself something. So even if I win this...
Yeah, you never knit for yourself.
No, I don't do that. Even if I win this, I won't be knitting it up for me. I'll be knitting it up for Kay. Or maybe I should knit it up for someone else.
Well, for someone.
No.
No, it doesn't have to be me.
No. I'll knit it up
but
for you.
I just want to knit with it.
When I win this...
I don't mind who it's for.
When
I
win this, I'll knit it up for you.
Right.
Yes.
Really.
But I think the crux to this is the forfeit. And let me tell you, this forfeit is going to take place right now. Well, not right now. When we find out who the loser is, the loser has to do this forfeit immediately.
Yes.
And I think that it's fair to say we're quite famous for our dislike of herbal teas. So Kay and I spoke at length about what the forfeit should be, and we spoke about all sorts of different things, but we came to the conclusion that the thing that we would both despise the most would be having to drink a cup of herbal tea with the most awful flavours we could possibly find, and we have to drink it all, and we have to drink it all live with you watching. So we've done that. We have found something that smells like your grandma's underwear drawer.
I know, I hope we're not offending him. This is just a bit of fun.
It's just a bit of fun.
It's just a bit of fun, and this is just what we think about opinion. This sort of drink. It's just not our favourite, so we just thought it might be fun, that's all. So we've got
this. Well, it's not going to be fun, it's going to be horrendous.
Well, it is. We've got Pucker, Nighttime. I just tried to find the one with the most herbally type ingredients.
Oh my goodness.
Because the fruit ones I can kind of tolerate, but the herbally ones...
There's one herb, there's one smell that I hate above all others. And that's something that my mum puts everywhere.
Is it lavender?
And it's lavender.
Lavender.
And the one thing I don't want to do is drink it.
I find that bizarre. It's Nighttime, a dreamy bed of organic oat flower, lavender and lime flower.
And it stinks. We know we have 5 questions each. We know we have 2 lifelines. We know what the prize is. And we know what the forfeit is. I think it's time that we play Knit or Forfeit. So, would you like to ask the first question?
Shall I go first?
Okay, you ask the first question.
Okay. First question. What type of substance is frankincense? Is it A, a precious stone? Is it B, a flowering plant? Is it C, resin from a tree? Or is it D, an animal product?
I think I know.
Ah.
And I think I know. Oh, now I'm not sure. Oh, no.
Frankincense, right.
So could you just give me the question and the answers again?
What type of substance is frankincense? Is it A, a precious stone? B, a flowering plant? C, resin from a tree? Or D, an animal product?
Right. I'm glad I asked you to read the question out again. I now feel fairly certain.
Okay.
Okay, so I am going for C, resin from a tree.
Resin from a tree.
Yes.
Do we think that's correct? What are you all saying? Yes, he's correct.
Come on!
It is. It's the gum resin from the tree. And
Santa's on a roll, baby.
It solidifies and then it's used in perfumes and perfumed oils.
And how do I know?
I don't know. How do you know?
Because every Christmas, when I used to sing in the Minster Choir...
I'd love to smell it.
I've smelt it.
What's it smell like?
Heady. It's a heady mix of spicy stuff.
I think I'd like it.
And
I do like that kind of scent. Is it like an incensey sort of smell?
Well, you see, I have a feeling, I don't know this, but frankincense, has it just been shortened?
Oh, right.
I don't know this, whether it is or whether it isn't, but what I know is at Christmas, it was burnt and smoked.
Oh, right.
And thrown over us.
Right, yeah.
At Christmas.
Well, I've smelt that smell before.
And I used to love that smell, actually.
I like that smell too. Is that what its frankincense smells like, if anybody knows?
Okay, are you ready for question 1?
Yes.
This question was inspired by the scene in The Christmas Vacation where Clark says to his children, "Speaking of Christmas trees, kids, does anyone know what was the first Christmas tree shown at the White House?" Now, that is not your question. Here is your question.
Yeah.
According to the White House Historical Association, who was the first president of the United States of America to display a Christmas tree, at the White House? So here are your choices. Is it A, William McKinley in 1898? Is it B, Grover Cleveland in 1896? Is it C, Theodore Roosevelt in 1901? Or is it D, Benjamin Harrison in 1889?
Well, this is kind of interesting.
Why?
Because of one of my questions.
Oh no, it's not the same, is it?
It's not the same, no. But because of one of my questions...
You know the answer?
No, I don't know the answer, but I can definitely dismiss one of them.
Who can you dismiss?
I can't say.
Okay, why? Oh, because you'll give away. I'm with you. I'm with you, baby.
So give me the years again.
William McKinley in 1898.
Right.
Grover Cleveland in 1896. Theodore Roosevelt in 1901. Benjamin Harrison in 1889.
Right, okay. I'll go for Grover Cleveland.
Okay, that answer's now locked in. Is she correct? I wonder how many people out there know the answer to this. I think there will be more people
than we realise.
In America, I think, I suspect that you guys will probably know the answer to this. So was she correct? No!
McKinley?
No.
Ah!
It was Benjamin Harrison in 1889.
Well, I've lost, haven't I?
No, stop it. Don't do that. We're only at the start. Remember, you've got lifelines. You could just take the lifeline.
Well,
but of course, at this time in the morning, no one in America would be up.
I thought I'd logically worked it out in my head, clearly.
Well, don't say.
Question number 2.
Okay.
What Christmas song does Judy Garland sing in Meet Me in St. Louis? Is it A, Silent Night, B, O Little Town of Bethlehem, C, Away in a Manger, or D, Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas? Oh, you know it, don't you?
I think so. You see, asking me...
Well, I know, but it was just a really nice question.
It's a lovely question. It's a lovely question. And I'm not...
You wouldn't expect a Christmas song in a film like that, I don't think.
No, you wouldn't. Bang, bang, bang,
yeah,
with the trolley.
I know. That's like summery and everything, isn't it?
I played drums for...
Oh.
But it was a long time ago, and I'm not completely certain.
Says the man who doesn't forget anything.
But I do recall it being the hardest 2-week run.
Drinking that horrible tea.
I do recall it being the hardest 2-week run of my life. It's not a good show to...
Is it not?
To be part of. I don't mind the movie, but the show, I think it's one of those ones. I don't know what came first, actually. I don't know if the show came first or if the movie came first.
The film.
Yeah, I have a feeling the movie came first, and I have a feeling that you need the impact of the visuals of a movie for it to work.
It is very like that, isn't it?
Well, how do you can't do the trolley song in a static thing on the stage. It just didn't quite work for me. So
Christmas.
I'm going for D, Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas.
Well, is he right? I wonder if he's right. Yes, of course he is. You're not going to get the next one.
Okay, so it's currently 2 points to Santa Claus and 0 points to Jovi. But this is Jovi's second question. So she has a chance to come storming back here.
That keeps slipping, it's so small.
Okay, here we go. A festival of 9 lessons and carols was created in 1880 by Bishop Edward Benson. And of course, it's...
Did he make beds as well?
Yeah. And it's a festival of 9 lessons and carols, which we spoke about in the last...
Yes, that doesn't mean I know anything about it.
Now, the very first service took place that year in 1880 at 10 p.m. on Christmas Eve. But where was it held? Was it held, A, King's College, Cambridge, B, Canterbury Cathedral, C, Truro Cathedral, or D, York Minster?
I have absolutely no idea. I mean, Truro seems very random. That's in Cornwall, isn't it, Truro? I kind of think it's got to be either King's College or Canterbury.
Remember, you have 2 lifelines and only 4.
What year?
1880.
Now I wonder, because King's College, that's a school, isn't it? Has it been a school for that long? Right, let's do 50-50.
Okay. So she has used her first lifeline and she's now left. I didn't actually mean to do that because I'm just going to tell you.
No, you actually swiped them off your screen.
Such a fool.
Such a fool.
Santa is such a fool. So we're going to take away 2 wrong answers, which we've now done, and we're left with either A, King's College, Cambridge, or C, Truro Cathedral.
Well, it's done now, King's College. So, has it always been done in King's College? Truro. Don't know. Oh! Truro, final answer.
She's correct!
Oh!
Yes! Well done!
Well, that's ridiculous.
Jovi comes storming back. It's a really interesting story, this. Truro Cathedral, actually at the time, it was being renovated. So they had to do the first service in a barn that they put up in the grounds of Truro Cathedral.
Right.
And it wasn't, I don't think it was until 1901 that King's College did their first 9 lessons and carols. Initially, it was a southern country thing.
Right.
So it's 2 to Santa and it's 1 to Jovi. She has come storming back.
Okay, question 3. What year was the coldest Christmas day on record in the UK? So on record, from when records started being taken. Was it A, 2010, B, 2009, C, 2000, or D, 2001?
Now, I remember 2010 was freezing and it was snowing like crazy. It's tricky because it makes me think. This is a really good question because it's within our memory.
And they're usually the trickiest ones, I think. I find they are. I find it harder to remember what year when it's more recently than like a little bit further back.
I remember Christmas 2010 vividly.
Right.
And I remember being away from home and you being worried because the snow was really bad. I was in Luton and I was driving back from Luton.
Right.
And you had made a venison stew.
Had I?
Yeah. And
for us?
Yeah. It was like a special meal for me getting home.
Crikey, I don't remember that.
With chestnuts.
I know the recipe. It's in the dealie.
Yes, you made that.
I didn't realise I'd ever made that.
But I'm emotionally buying in to A as the answer to the question.
Right.
I'm going to go with my instinct.
Okay.
And my instinct is I recall that Christmas in 2010 being very snowy. So I'm going to say A, 2010.
Is he right? Unfortunately, he is.
Oh no, I'm sorry. Yay!
Shall I tell you how cold it was?
How cold was it?
And this was in the Highlands in Scotland.
Right.
Minus 18.
Oh, wow.
Degrees C,
Now
this is, not Fahrenheit. I don't know if we don't do Fahrenheit really in this country. Minus 18 degrees C.
Now it's time for Jovi's question 3. It has been traditional in England since the time of the Druids to hang mistletoe in your home at Christmas. The word mistletoe derives from the Anglo-Saxon mistletoe. But what do those words mean? Is it A, poo stick? Is it B, sacred kiss? Is it C, blessed house? Or is it D, rain vine?
Well, mistletoe is it's a plant that grows on other plants. I don't know what the word for that is.
Yes.
Because you'll see it growing like on trees and things.
Yes. It's a parasite.
It's a parasite, thank you. So tell me that's what I was waiting for. I was waiting for something that implied that. Let's go for the most random and ridiculous because I've honestly no idea. Poo stick.
Is that your final answer?
Why would it be poo stick? Let's face it, but final answer.
She's right!
Oh, it's not poo stick.
Yes! I'll tell you why.
Poo stick!
I'll tell you why it's called poo stick.
Oh, it's not because they used it. No.
No. It's called poo stick because the way that it gets onto another plant, another tree, is the bird flies down, eats the berry from the mistletoe, the bird flies off, poos, the seed from the berry travels from the poo onto the next host plant, and that's how it gets there.
Question 4. What country created eggnog? Is it A, the USA, B, England, C, Germany, or D, Russia?
Ooh.
So where did it originate?
I really have no idea. I think I might have read something somewhere. Because you think, obviously, but then I'm not sure if it is obvious. You think that it's going to be America, but then I think I've read somewhere. I'm going to go 50-50. I'm pushing the button.
I've never had eggnog. Have you ever had eggnog?
I think I have.
I don't imagine I'd like it.
Well, I don't. I recall having something extremely creamy and sickly with lots of nutmeg, and I didn't like it.
No, I don't think I'd like it. So I've got to take 2 away.
Take away 2 answers.
Okay, which leaves you with A, USA, or B, England.
That'll
teach him, won't it? Ooh.
A, USA.
Final answer?
Yes.
Come on, he got it wrong! It's England. Because I think all of these kind of... It was a paucity sort of thing. Does that not make sense when I say it like that? That it was like some ancient medieval concoction or something with like milk and spices and whatever. But no, it was England. I Wikipedia'd it.
Okay, are you ready for question 4?
Well, no, but go
ahead. And we're all tied up. Long before the advent of Christianity, plants and trees that remained green all year had a special meaning for people in winter. It was in the 16th century that the Christmas tree tradition was first practiced as we know it in one European country. But which country was it? Is it A, Austria? Is it B, Germany? Is it C, England? Or is it D, Ireland?
Well, my instinct, I don't know, but my instinct is saying to me that it would be Germany because it was Prince Albert that brought it over, wasn't it? And he was German. That's how it kind of came into this country, isn't it? Because he brought the tradition over, put one up in the palace. There was a Christmas card made with the Christmas tree on it, and that went out to people, and then that's how it started. Everybody wanted to put trees in their houses because that's what the royals did. So I'm going to go with my gut and say Germany.
Final answer.
Yes. It's wrong.
It's right! Yeah!
You can't even kid with me, seriously.
correct.
It's just not acceptable.
You are correct. It was the Christians in Germany which first took the Christmas tree and put it up at Christmas and decorated it for Christmas.
Why did they do it?
I don't know that. But what I do know is they were picking up on a tradition which had been practiced for thousands of years, started by the Druids.
Yes.
Which was...
I was expecting it to be a Druid type question.
Yeah, which was in winter, when everything outside was dead.
Ah, right.
You would go and get the only thing that hadn't died, that was green, and you would bring it inside your house.
That makes sense.
And that actually is the roots of decorations. So all the decorations that we put up now are all reminiscent of that Druidic custom, which was bringing things in from the outside that were green at that time of year. It was supposed to bring you good fortune and good luck having something in your house
that was green when everything else was brown.
Was brown and dead.
Brilliant. Yeah. Love that.
Yeah.
Question 5. Which US president banned Christmas trees in the White House? You read this on the history. This is why I was worried. Because you probably read this when you were going through that page, because that's the same page I looked at.
It's Puritans.
Is it A, Theodore Roosevelt? Is it B, Woodrow Wilson? Is it C, Herbert Hoover? Or is it D, Richard Nixon?
It's not Nixon.
I wonder if anybody's got a vacuum cleaner and they call it Herbert. Herbert the Hoover.
They used to put on the red ones, what were they called? Henrys. They used to put Bertie on it.
Right.
And I never thought that would be the reason why. Bertie. Herbert Hoover. Bertie. Herbert. Bertie.
Oh,
Hoover.
right. I wouldn't have called.
That must be why.
I wouldn't have said Bert is short for Herbert for some reason.
Yeah, of course it is.
Oh, right. So is Bert and Ernie, is he Herbert?
Bert. Hey, Bert.
Herbert and Ernie, it's not quite the same, is it?
I don't think it's Woodrow Wilson. I'm going to go Herbert Hoover.
Final answer?
Yes, I'm going to go James Dyson, yes. I'm going Herbert Hoover, final answer.
Is he right? No, he isn't.
Let me guess once more. It's not Theodore Roosevelt, is it?
It is. Oh. Theodore Roosevelt. He didn't agree with chopping trees down, apparently. So it must have been.
He was a great nature lover, wasn't he?
Well, that must have been the reason why.
So traditionally, the volume of music record sales peaks at Christmas. So obtaining that Christmas #1 in the singles chart is seen as a pinnacle of the industry, because it means you've sold lots and lots of records, more than any other time of the year. Who was #1 on December the 25th in 1971?
That's the year I was born.
Oh! Now, it's interesting
But I was only just born.
It's interesting that you bring that up.
I was 7 months old.
It's interesting that you bring that up, that it's the year that you were born, because when I was at music college, it seemed to be, everyone wanted to know what the #1 was the year they were born.
Well, I never have wondered.
Because they said that whoever that was, and whatever the type of song was, shaped you as a musician, and as such, as a human being.
Is this correct? No, you can't say, can you?
I can't say at this moment.
Okay. Can I take this hat off? It's driving me mad.
So, your choices are, is it A, Queen with Bohemian Rhapsody?
No.
Is it B, Johnny Mathis with When a Child is Born? Is it C, Benny Hill with Ernie the Fastest Milkman in the West?
It's not that.
Or is it D, Dave Edmunds with I Hear You Knocking?
I don't know that fourth one.
I hear you knocking, but you can't come in.
That's not very festive. I don't know the last one. That sounds like he might be prior to the 70s, that sort of song to me. Sounds more 60-ish. What were the middle two?
Johnny Mathis.
Johnny Mathis or Benny Hill.
With When a Child is Born. Or C, Benny Hill with Ernie, the Fastest Milkman in the West.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to remember. Benny Hill was on the telly when I was growing up, but would he have been on the telly that early? Whereas Johnny Mathis seems about right for that time. It'd be hilarious if it's Benny Hill and that's meant to shape you as a person, isn't it? That'd be so funny. I'm going to go with Johnny Mathis because that's kind of the one that makes most sense to me. Johnny Mathis. Final answer.
That's your final answer?
Yeah.
She's wrong.
Oh, no. Oh, it's Benny Hill, isn't it? It's Benny Hill. Benny Hill has shaped me as a human being. Oh, come on. I couldn't stand him. I'm sorry. I know there's a lot of Benny Hill fans out there, including this person here, I'm sure, would appreciate the stupidity of Benny Hill humour. And I know a lot of you will as well. It's just Benny. Not my cup of tea, that kind of humour. I just find it silly.
Yes, number one in 1971 on Christmas Day was Benny Hill with Ernie, the fastest Northerner in the West.
Well, that's depressing, isn't it? When I was a tiny baby, people...
Would you like to know what number one was?
When you were born?
Yes.
Go on.
The answer is in those answers.
Oh, right. Bohemian Rhapsody.
Correct.
Yeah, you see?
It is a draw.
I never thought about it being a draw. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? Maybe we should both drink the drink.
That is the answer. Jovi has the answer. I gift the yarn to you. I allow you to have it. I won't make you split it in half. And we both use
£26 skein of yarn. I tell you, I'm going to be precious with this one.
And as I have awarded you the yarn, maybe what we do is we share a cup.
I've got one here.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Do you know what it says?
What?
Bring these incredible herbs alive by infusing in freshly boiled water for up to 15 minutes.
Oh my goodness.
That's quite telling. What did we say about it not tasting of anything?
Well, what we could do is then we could let it sit there for a bit while you do your what's off your needles. And so...
Oh, smell that.
So,
have you smelt it?
Oh no, that smells like feet. It really does. I'm not joking you.
It's not really very...
Oh my goodness.
It's not nice.
That smells like... Do you remember Green Flash trainers? That smells like you've just done a 5-mile run in Green Flash trainers in nylon socks.
But come on, we know it's not going to taste of anything.
Well, it might do after 15 minutes.
I know, 15 minutes.
We've got to leave it a good amount of time.
I mean, who has time to let something brew that long, really?
Ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of our Knit or Forfeit Christmas special.
This.
Which unbelievably ended in a tie.
It's like a little precious baby.
But Kay will appreciate knitting with that way more than I will, so it's right that she gets it.
Beautiful.
And I will enjoy watching her, and of course me, drinking this delicious cup of tea.
I don't know if it might be a bit bonkers for a hat.
So, thank you so much for watching. That is the last time you'll see Knit or Forfeit, maybe till Christmas next year, maybe even later, because next year we have a brand new quiz show for you.
We do.
But that's all to come. So, thank you so much for watching, and now it's time to go back to us for What's Off Your Needles. That was great! Yes! I loved that.
Messing with my hair.
Such a fun Christmas episode and a worthy winner. Oh, yes.
Well, neither one of us won.
Well, you did because I awarded it to you.
Well, thank you.
At the end, I stepped back.
I should have been awarded it
for
such ridiculous questions being asked at me.
But what a lovely skein of yarn.
Beautiful.
It really is. And have you decided what you're going to knit up with it?
No, well, I kind of want to knit a Ricky hat because I think it'll be really pretty, but you don't like Ricky hats on my head, so I don't know if I will do that.
Do we like?
But then I'm also tempted to hold it double with Kid Silk Haze because I'm kind of addicted to doing that at the minute.
We'll do that then.
So that it's kind of fluffy. Oh, that'd be so nice, wouldn't it? I don't know. I like to think about things for a while.
And you'll notice that the moment that I agreed to step back and allow Kay to take the yarn was the moment she said, maybe we should both have to drink the tea. It was you that suggested that.
So and he didn't have to drink the whole cup.
No. It was more that I wanted to see your reaction. That looks like wee.
It always looks like wee. Sorry to say.
Now, it's been steeping for about 5 minutes. So
we're going to leave it a few minutes more, aren't we?
We'll let you do your What's Off Your Needles and then we'll have a little drink.
I do have some things.
And we'll see what we think. So, Kay Jones, what's off your needles?
Before I do that, I'll just tell you that the shawl I'm wearing, because I know that people will ask, this was a beautiful gift from a lovely friend for my birthday, and it's the Waiting for Rain pattern. Beautiful. Yes, I finished 3 things.
My goodness.
Come on.
Effort.
I know.
Wow.
They're all Christmas gifts. I was going to say 2 of them are Christmas gifts. They're all Christmas gifts. So I finished the Ricky hat is the first thing. Oh, isn't it lovely? It came out really nice.
The yarn's beautiful. It makes it look really lovely.
Yeah. Shall I see what it's like on? Yeah. I don't know that I've even...
It's pretty.
It's very slouchy, actually, isn't it?
But, I mean, that colour is pretty.
Yeah, I think she'll like it, the person it's going to.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. What's the yarn again?
It's an Irish yarn that we were sent by Darina. Darina, who seems to have knocked her entire house down and is rebuilding it currently. Yeah, so it's a beautiful DK weight. I think it was called Lismore Gardens in the Spring.
Right.
Lovely. And I used every scrap. I didn't have that much left, and I didn't think I'd have enough for a pom-pom. So I don't know if you can see, but I held it double with some bright pink Kid Silk Haze that I'd got.
Kid Silk Haze?
I may have a slight Kid Silk Haze problem right now.
Obsession.
Some would call it an obsession. And it worked really well. And it gave me a really beautiful pom-pom with an added extra bit of fluff, which is always nice. So, Ricky hat done.
What else is off your needles?
I then finished Bryony's mitts that
They're
I was
pretty.
knitting. They are, aren't
They're
they?
perfect,
and I'll put them on.
I love them.
I haven't even blocked these because I don't think they really needed it.
No.
So I just thought, you know what, I'm not going to. They look absolutely fine. So these are the ones that I knit from the mini set from the Yarn Lab UK. And it was the 2nd generation Colorway of minis, set of minis. And it's the children of the Harry Potter characters. And this is what they look like. And I think they've come out really nice, actually. So they're all done. Lovely mitts. And I did them quite long here because, you know, it keeps more of your hand warm, doesn't it? And she's still then got her fingers to mess about with her phone and put a coat on and all things that children do. So yeah, they're about the same size. So pretty sure this is how they'll fit her, which is really nice. And I used the Simplice pattern and I just adjusted it a little bit with length, but I used the stitch count that was in the pattern. So they're all done and lovely. So that's another gift, and I'm just going to wrap those and they'll go. And then the last thing was a really last minute gift, and this is for a family member, and she really loved the one of these that Bryony's got. So I thought, I'm going to whip her one up, and it only took a few hours really. I just decided to do it one afternoon last weekend, I think it was. And it's this little fella. Oh, hello. Oh, I'm so cute. Oh, look at me.
Who remembers the flumps?
Doesn't he look like a flump?
They were cool.
You're all doing the music, aren't you? Bop, 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 bop. If you don't know what the flumps are, just Google it. They look like this, basically, but didn't have these ears. So this is called A Little Kindness Monster. This is the 2nd of these I've knit. It's a free pattern on Ravelry. It's on my project page, but if you just search A Little Kindness Monster, the only difference is...
Well, no, just look in the show notes because it's linked.
Oh, right, there you go. It's in the show notes.
Like always.
I knit it exactly to pattern, and I used no makers. I've had this yarn forever and just never knit it. It's just it's one of those skeins that I've just hoarded, and I only needed a little bit really, but I thought, do you know what, I'm going to use it. And okay, I've got 3/4 of the skein left, but that's fine. You know, I'll be able to use that for a hat or whatever. And it's the Under the Tree colourway. Really lovely. Made a really lovely monster.
But what's he called?
He's called Captain because the original one of these I knit for Bryony in it was Dreams in Fibre yarn. It was Erica's yarn, and I doubled a fingering weight yarn, and the colourway was koi, as in koi carp. But it was like blues and yellows, and it just looked like it just looked like a sea captain, and I put a yellow hat on him, and it looked like those yellow waterproof hats that like fishermen wear.
It's Old Jack's boat.
Yeah. So Bryony named him Captain, so this is also Captain. And his little hat I knit using... You're going to laugh at me?
Why? Oh no. Oh no.
Because look, it's fuzzy. Okay, I held a yarn double with Kid Silk Haze. That's all I'm saying, and I'm saying nothing else. But the yarn I held double with it was...
Could you knit a bakery bear holding Kid Silk Haze?
Oh, you could. That'd be fabulous.
You see, I think that you should knit one.
That'd be just fluffy fabulousness.
Next Christmas,
yeah,
you should make one of those for my mum.
Oh, right.
And we should put it in a box and we should call it Fuzzy Wuzzy because she always used to do the Fuzzy Wuzzy Was a Bear thing.
Oh, right.
And she'd love that.
Oh, I should do that then next year. So yeah, I held Kid Silk Haze double with Blacker Yarns, Falkland Merino 4-ply.
That's a classy hat.
Seriously, I mean, really? It's the most glamorous hat. I kind of want one. When I was knitting it, I was like, this is absolutely beautiful. I'm going to knit myself a hat. And it was the sand colourway, I think, of the blacker. How adorable. Oh, I'm so cute. And it's the simplest little thing and just the most, it is so easy, whips up in no time, and it's the most adorable thing ever. So, you know, I was going to say you've still got time before Christmas, but clearly you haven't because it's after Christmas.
But the pattern doesn't come with the hat?
Yes, it does.
Oh, right. Wow.
Of course it does.
Sorry.
I didn't design the hat.
No.
It comes with the hat.
That's cool.
And it actually says hat optional.
Why would you not? Why would you not?
This is not optional. It's a necessity.
It is.
You can't possibly have one of these without this incredibly cute hat.
That's what gives the character.
It is.
And it's full of character.
And the little smile.
Bryony adores her captain.
Oh, she does. The little smile I've done with something called, I think it's a split stitch.
Right.
And it doesn't move. It's brilliant. It's the best embroidery stitch I've found for stitching on mouths, definitely.
Wow.
Adorable.
That is a gorgeous thing.
He's going to get wrapped up now.
It's funny, isn't it, how the simplest
little things.
Sometimes it's all you need.
Yeah, and it's such a joy to make. It really took me about three hours. The hat actually was the longest bit because it's nearly all 1x1 rib, and then you just do a few decreases at the top. So that actually took the longest amount of time, the hat. But it's so worth it, isn't it? And his little ears poke through.
I think that
Captain is adorable. We love him.
It's a perfect sort of example of how I always say to Kay, the link I make is it's actually computer games. I mean, I'm not a big computer game player at all, but I got the Star Wars Battlefront game when it came out a couple of years ago, and I was really excited about it. And the problem with it was they've got way too excited about how it looks and not about how fun it is to play with. And this is the same, isn't it? When you can, you go out, you can buy amazingly intricate, expensive things, toys from shops that might look like something off the telly or might do all these amazing things. Well, actually, sometimes all it comes down to is a beautifully knit thing with loads of character that we know is well loved because Bryony adores hers. And that's what led to this family member wanting one of her own.
Yeah.
So, amazing.
So
really.
I might do some more next year, actually, for other people.
Yes, that's a great idea.
I've got a mission for next year. I'll tell you in Endy Bits. Don't let me forget to tell you my mission for next year.
Right, cool.
Yeah. So there we go. Yes, that's it.
End of What's on Your Needles.
Yep.
It's time for our very last Endy Bits of 2017. My goodness.
Has this steeped long enough? Do you think?
Yes. The first thing we need to do, that's definitely steeped long enough.
Yeah.
That's been steeping for, given the time before.
Over 10 minutes.
Well, I'd say it's probably close to the required 15.
Steepage.
I should go in first because...
Just smells like chamomile tea, and I'm not keen on chamomile tea. It just smells like chamomile tea to me.
Well, victory.
Tastes of nothing. There's an
aftertaste.
There is an aftertaste. What is that?
I think that's licorice.
It's licorice.
I mean, thankfully, we're safe in the knowledge that lives up to the hype that it smells pungent, and even after 15 minutes of steeping,
it's had 15 minutes.
It still tastes of absolutely nothing.
It's very mild. I honestly don't understand the sort of fascination.
Weird.
And the.
I don't like things with aftertastes.
It's the licorice.
But
just
you don't
give it a
want to
bit
leave
of
something...
sweetness. There's a bit of sweetness going on.
I don't want a taste hanging in my mouth for minutes afterwards.
Well, anyway.
So, this is our final Endy Bits of 2017. And let's... well, you've got some things to show, actually, first. So, actually, let's start with that.
Should we do that first?
Yes,
Shall I
please.
tell you about my mission first?
What mission?
So I don't forget.
What mission?
Next year.
Oh, yes.
I've told you about this.
Oh, you see, I was acting. I was doing such a good job. She blew it. Go on.
Sorry. Well, what I'm going to try and do next year is, because
Christmas in January.
No, this is about Christmas next year. I'm going to try and knit as many gifts as I can, but it's all going to be the same thing. Do you know when Dan knit all those hats? Not this Christmas, last Christmas. Everybody loved them, you know, and we've seen photos of them since and wearing the hats, so we know that they're worn. And I thought, well, could I do something else? And you're going to join in this as well, aren't you? Could I do something else?
You're going to start it off, and then I'm going to pick up the mantle when you.
That would be equally as enjoyed and something universal, you know, that would appeal to people who are not knitters. And I'm going to do like mitts and mittens and gloves, not full gloves, but I might do for the men, I might do the gloves, you know, where it's just got part of a finger, so that it doesn't matter then to get the finger length the right with, because gloves you've got to get the length of the fingers right, which is a tricky thing if the person's not there. But I thought I'd do those ones for the men that are just sort of half a finger. So I'm going to call it Mitmas. Do you like it?
Yes.
So I've even given it a name. I've already written down everybody's name on a list, and there's 20 people on that list.
Wow.
That's quite frightening, isn't it? I don't think I'm going to get 20 pairs in it. But a pair of fingerless mitts, you know, for the women, I think I'm going to do all fingerless mitts, different patterns to make it interesting, different yarns to make it enjoyable. But I'm just going to try and knit as many mitts, mittens, gloves as I can next year, because I just think how amazing will it be if we got to the beginning of December
and it's all done
and we've not got to buy any gifts. I can't imagine that feeling. So I'm going to give it a go.
It's a great idea.
Join in if you want to. Mitmas.
Show us what you've got.
I bought these recently, and
they're just weird.
I have had a little go, and I cannot make head nor tail at the moment. I'm going to have another go in the new year, but I bought these. Do you know the new Addy Crazy Trio needles, they're called? It's this new way of knitting socks, and you get... They're not cheap. I think they're about £12 for a pair, which is pretty much double a normal pair of needles. But you get these 3... double pointed needles effectively with this tiny bit of cable in the middle, and they're all the same, so there's 3 of them, and the idea is that you knit them like this. So it's kind of like, the only thing I can think it's more similar to is where you knit with 2 short circulars. That's the only thing it kind of reminds me of. I tried it the other day, and the instructions for starters, well, obviously it's a German product, and whoever has translated it into English, it just doesn't make sense to me. It just read that. I won't read it out, obviously, but it kind of doesn't make sense. So then I went searching for videos on YouTube. There are some from Addy, but it doesn't really show you what to do. It's more of a promotional thing. And there were a few videos that people had uploaded, but they weren't really... a lot of them were in German, and even though I could see what they were doing, I couldn't understand what they were saying. So I gave in, and I just thought I'll try again in the new year. But I know that a few people have managed to knit on these.
There's spelling mistakes all over.
Yeah, I mean, you would have thought they could at least translate it correctly. But just reading through those instructions, I just can't really make sense of it. And, you know, I cast all onto one needle and then thought I'll transfer them, you know, onto the other like you do with DPNs. So the idea is that they're like this while you're knitting with your sock on it, and then you knit with the third. But I just couldn't. It felt incredibly weird and I couldn't make it out. So if you've had a go on these, just let me know what your thoughts were, because at the minute I'm struggling to understand what I need to do.
Have a bit more.
Oh, why?
Well, I've had loads. I've been like drinking it full on. You got that lovely yarn. I really don't like that at all. The taste actually builds up.
Yeah, you can taste the licorice
quite
a lot now.
Don't like it. I want a whippy. So
that's that, and then I've just got a couple of skeins of yarn.
Show us, quick!
I've had these for a little while, but we just kept running out of time. I picked up 2 skeins of opal when I ordered...
Oh, that's nice.
Well, it's lovely, isn't it?
Oh, that's nice. Is that for me?
Well, probably, yeah.
Or is that for me?
Well,
they're both nice.
They are both nice.
I'll have them both.
They're both from the Hunter Twas... But read it. Yeah, how do you say that without it sounding like that? Right, I'm not even going to try and say the name of this range because it always comes out sounding like a swear word. So I'm not even going to try and say it. But it's this range. Can you read on it? I'll let you read it. It's that range. And I know. But these two colourways I've wanted for ages, and I found them in a German shop when I ordered that Regia yarn I was talking to you about. Yeah, I know. The shop is Socken Vol Paradise. Look, okay, I'm not good with German words.
Carry on. I don't think anyone is unless you're a German.
No, they just sound so strange.
It's quite guttural, isn't it? Yeah. It's back in the throat.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting way of speaking.
But these two colourways I've wanted for ages. This one, because it looks like Minions when it's knit up. Just looks like Minions. And I've got this little yellow Regia mini that I'm going to put with it. And this one, because it's very festive, I think, this one. I'll tell you the colourway. This one is 2105 and this one is 2104. I think this one looks very festive. And this one, I've got this lovely green that I was going to pair with it, which looks really nice. So those at some point will be socks for Dan. And then I was sent a couple of lovely skeins. I just wanted to show you. I was talking about the Regia yarn, do you know the one I showed last time, and I said I couldn't get that particular colourway. Well, I've got it. It was sent to me as a present. So thank you so much. And the day that the person said to me, oh, I'm sending you that skein, I was like, I've just this minute been looking again everywhere for it. I don't know how she found it. She's like some ninja. But I've got it, and it's this one. It's the season's colour, the Regia season colour, and it's 09408. And it's something like Advent Krantz. I don't know what that means. Advent something, isn't it? But it's beautiful. It's so lovely. So these again will be socks for Dan at some point. And the last thing I was sent, I had to show you because I was just so blown away that this person was so kind. Look what I've got.
Wow.
I've got some Wollonwein yarn fairy hair. This is the colourway that I have coveted for
ages.
Months and months and months. And this lovely, kind friend picked up a skein for me at Rhinebeck this year and sent it to me. And it's on the Volca base, which is the one with cashmere in. And it's just gorgeous. It's just gorgeous. So thank you so much. And I've got to keep it for a little bit. Because that's what I have to do.
Because you're never going to knit that up.
I will knit it up. But I just have to have it for a little bit and enjoy having it. So.
Is that everything?
Yes!
Wonderful. So.
Yippee!
It may be the end of a year, but it's the start of a new one in a couple of days.
Absolutely. I love a fresh new year, everybody.
And let's just think about this.
Oh, I love it.
This year's been one of the hardest of our lives, and we've still brought you the new adventures of the Bakery Bears. We still launched a brand new magazine called Knitability, and we did loads of other things as well.
My hair's falling
We
out.
start next year with a fresh, clear, creative mind.
Absolutely.
And there is so much.
Bring on the new year.
There is so much in store. Prepare to get excited. We, of course, in a couple of days, are beginning the Never Gonna Knit You Up, Cal.
Yep.
And I am working on verse 2. Yes. Don't you worry. So Never Gonna Knit You Up, Cal, open to everyone. Threads are open. Get ready. Get cracking.
Yep.
We're away. Climb every mountain. Patron exclusive, Cal.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Fabulous.
Come on now, folks.
Everybody's saying they want to fill their rucksack.
Let's do it.
Everybody's saying
Let's do it. We are so excited about this one.
Yeah.
And yes, whilst the exclusive patron knitting, Cal, is exclusive to patrons, the running and the walking is open to everybody. And all you need to do is just drop me a note. I said this on the last episode. Let me know if you're a runner or a walker.
Yep.
And also let me know your Runkeeper details, and I will add you to the groups, and we will get climbing those mountains.
We will.
From the 1st of January.
Climb every mountain, everyone.
New year, episode 91. This year, this 2017, it was a really cool, exciting episode for us because we did our first ever Knitting Horizons, and we're doing it again next episode. So in 2 weeks, we'll be back and we'll be talking about our plans for this year. There's a thread already in the group. Let's use that, and let's share. What are your plans for this year? It doesn't matter if they all go out the window through the course of the year, but having a plan always ends up taking you to exciting places.
Yeah, definitely.
So Knitting Horizons next episode. But also, the second season of the new Adventures of the Bakery Bears is coming next year.
Yay!
This year, we were on quarter cylinders. We were gearing up for 2018 and some amazing adventures that we're going to have. We've already mentioned penguins and Peter Rabbit and so many other things are going on. But not only that, the exciting new colorways, which you've already spoken about a little bit. What's that range you're doing?
I'm doing a mystery mini-series for the patrons starting January on Agatha Christie, based on Agatha Christie novels or films, because it's easier to visualise the colour, isn't it, through the film. So that starts January for 3 months.
And
then I'll also be doing normal shop updates as well.
In January?
Yes.
Cool. And have I missed anything out? Oh, a new setting for the patron-only podcast. We launched our live patron-only podcast this year. So all the way through 2017, we've been broadcasting live. We've been trying to find the best format and the best way to do it. We've now nailed down the right way to do it. And we have a brand new setting. And we're going to give it a little bit of a revamp. And it's going to be really cool, actually. I can't say too much more because I'll give away what the setting is. But we're excited about that. And that's coming. But I'll message you as normal, Bakery Bears patrons, and let you know exactly when that is and what time it is. So, on that happy note, it's time for us to wish you...
Happy New Year, everyone.
Oh, yes. Toast your loved ones.
Yes.
And have the best time ever. We'll be in bed asleep.
We will. We don't do the midnight thing, I'm afraid. Each to their own.
We did. When we were younger.
Yeah.
But
I can't make it. I can't make it now. Literally asleep.
I would be out and we'd be texting each other Happy New Year.
You were always working New Year's. Because, bands playing, functions. You were always working New Year's. So, yeah.
I think now we just enjoy being...
That you're here.
Yeah, just being together.
And I fall asleep at 9:30 normally.
And then I go for a run. I go for a run. I get the Climb Every Mountain Cal started.
Is there?
There is people there.
Oh, you see people strolling home. Yeah,
the amount of people I saw this year, I can't wait for the 1st of January 2018.
Some right sights.
Oh, I cannot wait,
7 o'clock in the morning, like people staggering home.
Yeah. Santa outfits on. It's just brilliant. So, thank you all so much for the best 2017 ever.
Thanks, everybody.
It may have been a tough one for us, but next year it's going to be the best.
Yes.
So, we will see you then. Have a great New Year's.
Bye. Sitting and knitting, standing K the bakery bears. Enthusiasm's not quitting, standing K the bakery bears. They'll take you to fabulous places of which their favorites they'll share. You better buy a pattern and get yourself a bakery bear. You'll find yourself in a castle while watching the bakery bears. It never feels like a hassle to sit and watch the bakery bears. What's on your shelf or what's in your oven, or maybe a shawl you'll want to wear. So sit yourself right down and watch Dan and Kate the bakery